printing. I wrote about ways of getting money to help pay for the advertising and the expenses, and some of the ways I came up with were fundraising, advertising in my website and in the magazine, charging for subscriptions, and maybe finding a sponsor. Then I compared the prices of the different media and came up with a rough estimate of how much it would cost to advertise, print the magazine, and pay for the web domain, and the price that I came up with was $45,803. The third part of my promotional plan was called the implementation plan. For this section, I had a part called time allotment, and this is where I want to be with my product advertising in 6 months, 1 year, and 3 years. In 6 months, I want my products to be advertised in 2 of the 4 media. At this time, I suggest advertising in radio and on the web because they are the least expensive of the 4 media. Also at this time, I think I should have 2 fundraisers to help pay for the expenses, and there should be 5 paid advertisements in the magazine and on the web. In 1 year, I want my products to be advertised in 3 of the 4 media. I suggest at this time adding magazines because they are great at reaching the parents. At this time, I would like to have 5 fundraisers and a list of possible sponsors needs to be made. In 3 years, my product should be advertised in all 4 media. I feel at this time there should no longer be a need for fundraising because I would like to have a sponsor. The magazine at this point should also have more pages, which will allow for more advertising. Also in the implementation plan, I chose a venue for each medium that I want to advertise my products in. For newspapers, I chose the Stars and Stripes, which is an independent military newspaper that circulates all over the world. For magazines, I chose Military Spouse, and for radio, I chose Hua Radio. For web, I chose Facebook and Hua Radio. I chose 2 because I thought that they would both work perfectly. I chose the radio website because it is very inexpensive to advertise with them, and I chose Facebook because it targets my market directly. For this deliverable, I also made ads that I will advertise with. I made 2 half-page ads for magazine, 1 in black and white and 1 in color. I made a 4th page ad for newspapers, 3 web ads, but I'm only going to use 2, and 2 30-second radio ads, 1 for parents and 1 for children. When I first started this, I was only going to make 1 for children, but as I researched and found out that for radio my market would be the parents, I decided to make a parent ad as well. So here's the 30-second children ad and the 30-second parent ad.
Are you about to move? Is one of your parents going to be deployed? Don't worry, there are resources available just for you. Military Brats has stories, crafts, and tips just for you to get through changing schools, deployments, and making new friends. Get a parent permission before visiting us online at www.militarybrats.4mg.com. That's www.militarybrats.4mg.com. Are you a military parent? Are your kids having a tough time with a move or a deployment? Then there are resources available to help. Military Brats has a website, magazine, and blog for your kids to access. There are stories for them to read and crafts for them to try out. Go see what we have available online today at www.militarybrats.4mg.com. That's www.militarybrats.4mg.com.
For my 5th deliverable, I created a 24-page magazine. The magazine is called Military Brats. All of the photos for the magazine are public domain, my personal photos, photos from the writers, or photos from Patriots of Piedmont and Linda Pitts. This particular project was very difficult because I wanted to cover a large age group. But there is something in the magazine for children, teens, and anyone aged 4 and older. The magazine is separated into 3 sections: Brat Stories, Brat Help, and Brat Crafts. Stories is made up of articles from current military brats, non-traditional military brats, and military brats from years past. 2 of the 3 writers are from Military Brats Online, which is a social networking site much like Facebook. One of the writers writes about his experiences in Germany and visiting all of the castles, while another writer writes about her experiences being a former military brat and the feeling she has now when she stays in one place too long. Brat Help is made up of tips and advice for military brats, but it's not just advice on dealing with a move or a deployment. It also has articles like getting and staying connected with other military brats, either by a phone or email or by going to a camp of some sort. It also has an article on making that perfect care package for someone who is deployed. Brat Crafts is where I feel all age groups get their share of the magazine. All of the crafts that are made in this section can be used for military brats to keep for themselves or to be sent to someone who is deployed. I feel that it helps brats to remember the person they missed, even if they can't see them. An example of this is a picture frame in the magazine where it is made of a very inexpensive frame and words cut out of the magazine. The words are then glued to the frame and it's a picture frame. It is very easy to make, and it's also very easy to send to someone who has moved away or someone who is deployed. My final deliverable is a website I created in Macromedia Dreamweaver. The magazine is one site for all of the products that I have produced for my capstone. It contains the magazine content, a link to my blog, and a link to one of my radio segments. On this site, there are 2 links that I feel will be very beneficial to my project. The first is a link called Subscribe Now. If military brats go on my site, fill in their name, email address, and mailing address, I can send them a copy of Military Brats. When they press submit, an email is sent to me on an account that I made especially for the website. I get their information and I can mail them a copy of the magazine. Another button that I feel will be very beneficial to my project is for military brats to submit their own stories to Military Brats and for the website. By filling up the information and typing in their stories, they have a chance to have their articles printed in the magazine. The stories that they write have to be a maximum of 500 words, and by clicking submit, it sends me an email with the information. I feel that this will bring a new variety to the magazine and to the website. The website you see is launched on a subdomain from freeservers.com. The domain was free, but I decided to pay $5 so I didn't have annoying pop-up ads everywhere. The web address is www.militarybrats.forumg.com. The forumg of the website is because it is a subdomain that I got for free. If I decided to pay a monthly or yearly fee, it would no longer be a subdomain. So how do I know these products will be useful to military brats other than my own experiences? I've read through a lot of studies online to try and figure this out myself. And after reading through them, I found that a lot of military children have a feeling of loneliness or loss when someone is deployed or when they move. I also found a study from a psychology professor from Old Dominion University. Her name is Kelly Michelle, and she says that a lot of children display behavioral problems when military situations are happening. When I met with Casey Knoll, he gave me one of their training manuals for parents. And one of the solutions they have for these types of behavioral problems is to make cards and crafts for loved ones, which is a huge part of the magazine that I created. Another solution, especially for older kids, is to talk to their peers. So if teens can talk to other people their age on my blog, I feel that they can transition through these military situations a lot easier. What I found through my experiences is that military children and families are always looking for positive, supportive resources that they can use. And I feel like the information that I've made for them is exactly what they need to get more support that they need. Thank you, and I will now take questions from